In this video I fit the rear mudguard and refurbish the front forks. I started by mounting the front mudguard mount to the frame loosely and then positioned the mudguard using the dent in the mudguard to line up with the back of the battery tray. This gave me the location for the two front mounting holes, which I then drilled. With the mudguard loosely clamped at the front, I could then lift the rear of the mudguard up and find the suitable position for the rear mountings. At this point I had to adjust the rear mounting. I used an adjustable spanner just to twist it into a better position. And then mark the position of the holes. At this point I only drilled one hole. Remounting the mudguard and using this one hole hopefully ensured that the second hole would be lined up perfectly. Now the forks. First I started by removing the old gaiter. Not too worried about the old stanchions, I clamped them in the vise and removed the top nut so I can get access to the spring. It might be worth a note that the oil is still in there, and guess who forgot? With the spring removed and the oil drained, we moved to the lower end of the fork. The axle cap was removed. This gave access to the damper retaining bolt. Using an Allen key, the damper was released from the fork slider. Under the Allen bolt is a copper washer to seal and keep the oil in place. 9 times out of 10 this stays in place and doesn't have to be disturbed. With the lower leg removed, the damper retaining nut is unscrewed from the stanchion. And that's them stripped. Now all we have to do is build them into the new stanchions. Just inspect stuff as we go and make sure everything's nice and clean. There are 2 O-rings on the damper. A quick inspection soon tells you if they're any good, and there should be a nice sliding fit inside the stanchion. The damper stanchion nut is held in place with a little bit of Loctite thread lock. Ever had one of those days where everything ends up on the floor? Before replacing the lower leg, I gave it a nice little bit of polish. They weren't in bad nick, so they just required a bit of buffing. I started with a sisal mop to get rid of any surface corrosion. Then brought a shine to the surface with a loose calico mop. On these later forks, the oil seals, the fork seals, are actually held in with a circlip and a washer, rather than just the press fit of the earlier type. The stanchion was replaced and the new fork seal fitted. Using a piece of aluminium tube just to drift the seal back into place, ready for the circlip and washer. The damper retaining bolt is now replaced. Sometimes this just screws in with no problem at all and just tends to lock up, but on this occasion the damper was turning with it and it wouldn't tighten, so I inserted a metal rod, piece of broom handle, anything just to stop the damper from turning in the stanchion till you get the screw done up and it starts pinching under its own strength. A new gaiter was fitted, followed by a spring and top nut. The top nut was left loose. These will have to be filled with fork oil later. The other fork leg was done in exactly the same manner, with the exception of the caliper mount, which had to be cleaned before polishing. And this time I remembered the oil was in the fork leg. The caliper mounting bracket is rough cast, so it doesn't require polishing, but it's best to give it a good clean so it doesn't look out of place with the fork. This just left fitting the fork legs to the bike, not forgetting the chrome shrouds for the headlight. I line up the chrome with the top of the yoke, leaving the top nut just ever so slightly proud. Slight adjustment with the mallet just to match the other fork leg. The lower pinch bolts will be replaced later when it comes time to mount the brake and all the hoses. Thanks for watching.